Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Pigskin Banter. I am all alone today. We'll see if any of my co-hosts show up, seeing that nobody has responded to the Discord messages. I'm assuming I'm going to be all alone, but we shall see. I'm muted and deafened in the Discord, aren't I? There we go. Now, if my co-hosts do decide to show up, maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to hear me. I have a feeling I'm going to be doing this all alone. I have not heard from anybody today. Although, I have gotten all their things in. Oh, wait, why is our slideshow not working? That is not what that's supposed to be. Hold up. Add files. Everybody's but Jess. So it should be these 4. And there we go. There it is. There's our background for our predictions. There we go. Yes, we are once again joined by the guinea pigs. Hello, guinea pigs. Nugget and Jerry. Anyway, welcome everybody. We're going to be looking at this past weekend of NFL football. We're going to be discussing what teams would make for the best Super Bowl matchups once we rank who we think will make the playoffs. And yeah, we're just going to go from there. And we'll go down game by game as we usually do. So let's pull up our weekly schedule. So let's do this. There we go. NFL. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's go down this list. I have a bunch of different lists that I like to use to look at the schedules because I'm dumb. Can I just push that up a little bit for my lighting? There we go. Good enough. All right, that is next week. We are not looking at next week. Come on, show me. Why are you not showing me what I want to see? I am very professional. And now we have Frozen. This is a great start. There it goes. Okay. Let's fix this. Week 13. There you go. Boom. Okay. Good. We are looking at the thing. Perfect. Okay. So, Thursday Night Football, we had the Seattle Seahawks against the Dallas Cowboys, and if you remember the show on Thursday, we kind of were all in agreement that the Cowboys were going to make light work of the Seahawks, and that's not exactly what happened, believe it or not. The Seahawks played it extremely close, and Dallas while they won, it was an ugly win. And for all those Dallas fans talking out, the Eagles, all they do is win ugly games. Nice ugly win there, Dallas. The offense looked good for them, obviously, 41 points. But the defense was a concern. Bland had another pick six, so that was great. But other than the pick sixes, he has been getting burnt these last couple weeks here. So, not the best for them, but I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I think Dallas is fine. I still think they end up in the wild card. I know with the Eagles' loss, you could argue them for the division. However, Dallas still has to play the Lions, the Dolphins, and one more, and the Bills, I believe. While the Eagles have 2 games against the Giants and their game against the Cardinals. So the Eagles have an easier schedule going forward. However, I do think this game between the two of them is going to be important. but I don't know if it's actually going to matter in the end because of the remaining schedule. Dallas has a harder schedule, so if the Eagles end up with a better record, say the Eagles lose to Dallas but then win against Seattle, against the Giants twice, and against the Cardinals, they go 4-1. Dallas would just have to drop 2 games against the Dolphins, Bills, and whoever I said, Lions. So if they drop 2 there, then the head-to-head matchup literally doesn't even matter. Obviously the head-to-head matchup does matter for this week, and hopefully the Eagles get the win. But yeah, Cowboys, they're a solid wild card team, and I think that is the only team I can safely say is guaranteed to make the playoffs in a wild card position, because the rest of the league. Yeah. All right. Next up, this game I'm not even gonna give 2 seconds to. I mean, I will, but nah. Chargers Patriots. Belichick shutout. The Patriots become the first team in I forget how many years, but in a long time to lose 3 straight games where they've only allowed the opponent to score 10 or less points. So despite their defense being great, their offense cannot do anything. And Patriots, yeah, you can stay in least to the East. You're dropping into the Commanders though. And Chargers fans, you gotta win, but you're still 5-7. Most of the teams in the AFC are either 7-5 or 6-6. This season is still pain, and that offense did no favors. And it's not on Justin Herbert. I'm so sick of this. The guys around him aren't catching. They're dropping passes. It is completely just a team that cannot play well. The entire team is letting Herbert down, and this feels very much like Phillip Rivers all over again, as we've said earlier. All right, not worth our time. Dolphins and Commanders. All right, this one actually is quite interesting here. And interesting in the fact that the Dolphins look like they've figured it out. Their offense looked stagnant the last couple games they played. Things didn't look 100%. A-Chain was back. Tyreek Hill making an argument for MVP. Just, they look really good again. We'll see how they do against teams with winning records. That still has to be proven. But, yeah, they look solid in that game. And so they stay definitely in division. And Commanders, least to the East is where you stay. Alrighty. Broncos Texans. This one was good. This was a great game. Russ, who has been so good in the red zone, who's been so good at not turning the ball over, ends up costing the Broncos at the very end of that game. But the Broncos defense also didn't do a good enough job of taking the ball away from the Texans, and the Texans did a great job of protecting the ball. Russ had a rough game, and the Broncos, when their defense doesn't get turnovers, they don't tend to win. I don't know if they've won a game this season where the defense hasn't gotten a turnover. I'd have to check. But yeah, I'm confident that the Texans are going to make the playoffs at this point, especially with Trevor Lawrence going down for the Jags. There's a chance the Texans still win the division. And Broncos, like I said last week, I think you're in just missed territory. You have interesting schedule to say the least with your remaining games, and yeah, you're probably in just missed territory. Alrighty. Minshew Mania and the Colts, baby, take on the Titans, division rival in Tennessee, and they get the win. It was a close game. It was an ugly game. There were field goals to send it to overtime. There was the craziness of, what was it? Was it a blocked field goal? Hold on. I have it. I'm going to pull it up. Because if you didn't see this game, you all need to hear what this sequence was. Let me find this for all our listeners here. Where is it? That's all from the Eagles game. All Eagles game. There were a lot of talking during the Eagles game in our group chat, obviously. Alright, here it is. It was a botched punt by Indy that was returned for a touchdown by the Titans. Then the Colts go for two. A blocked punt by Indy. Sorry, not a botched punt. A blocked punt by Indy, returned for a touchdown by Indy. So Tennessee goes to punt, it gets blocked by Indy, and Indy returns it for a touchdown. Indy then goes for 2. It is deflected and intercepted, and so the Titans go down the field and score a 2-point interception. That was this game. A block punt leading to a TD, which then had interception for 2 points on the 2-point conversion. That was exactly what this game was in 2 plays. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. But yeah, Minshew Mania, baby. It carries on. And the Colts have a favorable schedule. They're 7-5. I think they're wild card, if not division worthy. You know what? Let's pull it up. Because Jacksonville, I don't think, wins the division at this point. So it's between the Texans and the Colts. Because the Texans have... They're the Jets who... We'll get to the Jets, but... Oh boy, I froze. We'll get to the Jets. So yeah, the Jets situation is not looking pretty. Then they have the Titans, who the Titans played the Colts close, but still. Then they have the Browns, and they have the Titans, and they have the Colts. In Indy. Ooh. Honestly? The Browns with Joe Flacco, the Jets with whatever quarterback will actually start for them, the Titans twice, they have a chance to go 4-0 in that stretch and then play against the Colts. Does it happen? Who knows? All right, the Colts. You have the Steelers. That's getting close. Then you have the Falcons. Or no, you have the Bengals, who with Browning look good. Browning did look good, so that's not a gimme. Then you got this, and it's in Cincinnati. Then you got the Steelers, not a gimme. You got the Falcons, who knows? The Raiders and the Texans. So yeah, I think the Colts have a way harder schedule. Then let's look at the Jaguars' schedule. Because, I mean, backup QE didn't look horrible for the Jags. So what is their schedule looking like? Oh, God. They play the Browns next? Please no. So we have to watch Joe Flacco against whatever the backup QB's name is. I don't even remember. And then they play the Ravens, the Bucks, the Panthers, and the Titans. Okay. I think they beat the Panthers. They probably do enough to... They probably beat the Titans. Gives them 2. The Browns is a toss-up. They lose to the Ravens for sure, and the Bucks is a toss-up. Let's see. So what do they sit at? 8-4. I'm gonna go on a bold prediction here. Jacksonville, you still make the playoffs with the as a wild card. The Texans are gonna steal your spot. That's my bold prediction. That's what's gonna happen. Jags are gonna fall. Well, I guess it's not that bold of a prediction, but I mean, still. With how that division looked, if you told me 3 of the AFC South teams are going to make the playoffs, I would have laughed at you. Especially when we had the South tier, where all the teams in the South looked to be the same. And now they all look to be the same, except for the Titans, but in a playoff contenders, so who knows. Not Super Bowl contenders, mind you. Playoff contenders. Very different thing. All right. Next game, we had Lions and Saints. And for anybody that watched this game, you went, oh, the Saints are losing 21-0, 8 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever it was into this game. I'm going to turn this game off now. And you would have been dumb for doing so and assuming that this was going to be a blowout. Because after going up 21-0, the Lions of old showed back up. And their defense roared its ugly head. And the old Lions came back to play. The Lions that showed up against the Bears and the Packers showed back up. And the Saints started to come back. And started to come back. And started to come back. And this game looked like the Lions are somehow going to blow it. Now, they did pull off the win, which is great. Helps Derek. I mean, you could say it helped the Lions that Derek Carr went down. But Jameis didn't look bad either. So, yeah. Lions, you won this one, but it was ugly. And you could potentially be the Vikings of last season. The NFC North could literally be the same exact thing as last season, where the top team goes into the playoffs and just gets upset in the wild card round. So yeah, Lions. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned with how you guys have been playing recently. You need a bounce back game where you look solid, and I thought you were getting that against the Saints, and then your defense, man, killed you. But you won anyway. So, I don't know. Ugly wins. I guess as a... man. I mean, I can respect it as an Eagles fan winning ugly, but ugh. That was not the best thing for your fans. To show them that you're not the same old Lions. Okay. Speaking of games not to show fans, Falcons and Jets fans, I am sorry you had to sit through this one. Desmond Ridder did not get benched. Tim Boyle did get benched. Trevor Siemian didn't look much better, but that O-line is bad. No quarterback's going to look good behind that O-line. Aaron Rodgers is going to die if he tries to play again. So the Jets actually released Tim Boyle after the game. Or not after the game, but today. They released Tim Boyle. They brought in Brent Rippon, I believe. But they apparently want Zach Wilson to start again, which is crazy that they're going back to Zach Wilson. They're like, hey, hi, buddy. So we benched you, even though you probably shouldn't have been benched, even though you were bad. But at the same time, we didn't have anybody else because we didn't think to go and get a backup when Aaron Rodgers went down. And they screwed themselves. They should have done something at the trade deadline. I mean, you could have brought in Jacoby Brissett. That would have been my move. Or Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs or Brissett should have been the two big trade targets. Or hell, even Jameis at this point. The fact that they didn't target any of those three guys is ridiculous. You have to try and make a move. And they waited way too long. Hell, they could have brought Joe Flacco out of retirement. And listen, he didn't look great with the Browns, but he knows the Jets system. He was recently there. You could have at least brought him back. He would have known the team. It was something. But instead, you go down to Tim Boyle, who looks horrible, and your O-line can't protect anything. And now you're coming crying back to Zach Wilson, who nobody felt bad for because he was playing so bad. But at the same time, now you look more pathetic than Zach Wilson. Oh, did somebody join? Oh, no. Okay, that was weird. Now you look more pathetic than Zach Wilson. All right. There we go. I'm going to pop that up just so I can watch in case anybody does join us. I don't know where that desktop audio came from. That was weird. Anyway. Falcons, I want to say you're going to win this division, but you give me no confidence. What does your schedule look like versus the Bucs schedule? Because I'm ready to switch you guys out again. Because I love switching around the South every week because it's funny. Falcons, and so I'm probably going to do it anyway, but let's look. Falcons, what is your schedule looking like? You had the Buccaneers this week, so that's probably going to determine the division at this point. Then you have the Panthers. Then the Colts and the Bears and the Saints. So 3 division games, and the Panthers played a close game this week. They might be better. Falcons, I don't know. All right. Let's look at the Bucs, and then I guess we can look at the Saints too. Bucs, you got the Falcons, the Packers, the Jags, the Saints, and the Panthers. With how the Packers have been playing recently, I don't like the Bucs odds. Saints, you have the Panthers, the Giants, the Bucs, the Falcons, and the Rams are good. All right, Falcons, somehow you're probably still winning this division because you had that 1-game lead. But if you lose to the Bucs this week, that changes everything. But Falcons, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because of your record and say you're making the playoffs, and hopefully you're the ones to upset the Cowboys in the first round because that would be hilarious. But yeah, we'll see. Falcons, Jesus Christ. All right, speaking of this horrible division, the Panthers and Buccaneers, and Panthers looking like they got a bit of a bounce back after the coach firing. They don't get the win, but they come within 3 against a division rival in the Bucs. They continue the tank for the Bears. So congrats, Bears. You're winning by default. This is literally the Ouija wins by doing absolutely nothing. Hello, guinea pigs. But yeah, It's interesting, Carolina. You guys are still in you're screwed, but hey, I guess at least for your fans, you guys played a close game. What are you two doing? We're playing Ring Around the Rosie, apparently. Okay, whatever. Boys. What are you two doing? Hey! Knock it off. Jesus. It's just turning into the guinea pig stream. I mean, they are quite funny. Anyway, Buccaneers, Panthers. The Buccaneers are just, I don't know, man. I love Baker. I really do. I want to see him make the playoffs just because I want to see playoff Baker, especially if the Browns were to miss. That would be funny to me. But, not the best performance against the Panthers. All right, Rams, Browns, and Browns, you guys are done. You are not making the playoffs at this point. This season, honestly, while they probably do just miss Browns, I think you guys need pain. And the reason that you guys deserve the pain tier is you lost Chubb, and then you guys were winning anyway with your defense, but that winning has not seemed to be happening as much recently. And on top of that, you had Deshaun Watson, so that's pain all in itself. And what the hell? And that's pain all in itself. But yeah, it's not looking like a great situation for the Browns there. And yeah, I don't know, man. Puka Nacua though, and Cooper Kupp with Matthew Stafford. The Rams are a dark horse team. I think they make the playoffs. I'm ready to say Vikings and Seahawks need to move down into just miss. That is where I'm currently at, based on their schedules. Based on the schedules remaining, and we will save who's going up into wild card in a minute. You can take a guess. But, yeah. Based on remaining schedules, Seahawks, I don't know, man. But Rams are making it. Rams are going to make it at this point. I know they're only 6-6, but I'm telling you, with the remaining schedule, they're going to make it. All right. We will get to Eagles, San Fran. I'm going to skip over that one just because I have a lot of thoughts there, and I don't want to rant for 1,000 hours. So we will finish with the Eagles game. All right. Cardinals, Steelers. Actually, yeah, we'll go Cardinals, Steelers, and we'll go into Sunday Night Football. All right, Cardinals, Steelers. And Steelers back to playing down to competition, and I want to say they're at risk of missing the playoffs. Kenny Pickett does go down. The Bills have a tough schedule ahead. What is the Bills' schedule looking like? Could the Bills pull it off? Is Kenny Pickett going down? I don't trust Trubisky. They have to play the Chiefs and the Cowboys, which is going to be hard. Then the Chargers, Patriots, and then the Dolphins. It's going to be really, really hard for them. Does the Broncos make it over the Steelers at this point? What's the Broncos schedule looking like? Broncos, you have the Lions next. That's not going to be easy. We're also going to look at the Steelers' schedule because maybe Trubisky can pull it off. You have the Chargers next, then the Lions, then the Patriots, and the Chargers, and the Raiders. Very, very winnable schedule. And finally, we're going to look at the Steelers' schedule. And they have the Patriots. Oh, that's a free win. Even Trubisky can beat the Patriots. Then again, how funny would it be if the Steelers lost back-to-back against the Cardinals and then the Patriots, both in Pittsburgh? Ali might shoot himself. Then you have to play the Colts. Then you're playing against Browning and the Bengals, who played you close before, and that was with Kenny Pickett. And now you're with Trubisky. Then you have the Seahawks and you have the Ravens. Yeah, I want to say they lose Seahawks, they lose Ravens, they lose to the Colts. That's 3 losses. They probably lose to the Bengals at this point. That would be 4 losses. I think they might go 1-4, 0-5 to end the season. Steelers, I'm sorry. Broncos, you're going there. All right. I don't feel good about this, but this is what this NFL season has led to. This, the fact that we're debating if the Steelers can make the playoffs, by the way, regardless, is funny to me. Oh, who has joined us? Oh, Ali has joined us. Hold on. Let me get you in here, Ali. Let me like make you visible. Let's see here. Oh, should be able to do this, and then there we go. And do not show my screen, please. Dang. Are we good? Confirm. All right. Ali, talk to me. Can you hear me? I cannot hear Ali. Oh. We'll figure this out. We are smart people.
I definitely will.
Hey, there we go. All right. I need to know. Steelers' remaining schedule is brutal without Kenny Pickett. Do you think they still make the playoffs? Uh oh. We lost Ali. Uh oh. Where'd he go? Oh. Is he gonna lit? Is it gonna work? Ali, can you hear me? Oh. Ali, are you alive? Uh oh. Oh no. I don't hear this man. That's not good. Oh well. There we go. Let me fix my settings actually while we're doing this. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Oh boy, don't want to do that. Oh crap, didn't want to do that. Oh well. Let me do this. All right. Ali, can you hear me? Are you alive? All right, let's see. Here's that. We go here. Ali. Mm-mm. Cannot hear this man. Unfortunate. Oh man, I really thought Discord was gonna work. We've tried. We had Stream. Okay, so to fill in anybody that doesn't know, we initially were on StreamYard, and then the pricing for StreamYard is just ridiculous for what we're trying to do, and we're so early on in this that it just wasn't worth it. So then, once we got done with StreamYard, once we were done with StreamYard, why is that not picking up now? Uh oh. Ali, can you hear me? Check. My mic is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sounds good. I've been trying to join. It says my internet connection is all whack.
No worries. Am I loud enough for you? Because my mic is seeming to be coming in very quiet right now. I might try and fix that. Tell us your thoughts on the Steelers' remaining schedule. Because currently, I'm looking at it, and I think they might miss the playoffs.
Well, you know what? You underestimate the ability of Mike Tomlin to go 9-8. So that's at least a guarantee. Whether that's good enough to make it into the playoffs in the AFC, we'll have to wait and see.
So you really think they go 9-8 with Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, I honestly, I think I do. I mean, I'm trying to think of our schedule, but it's not favorable after this game against New England. That's why the Arizona one was so important.
Dude, if you guys
Um,
lose to the Cardinals and then the
we
Patriots,
still have to play Baltimore.
yeah, you had okay. So you guys have the Patriots, and then you have the Colts.
I mean, we should be able to win.
Oh, yeah, you guys have the Colts, then the Bengals, then the Seahawks, and then the Ravens.
Yeah, so we should be able to beat the Bengals the second time. We should be able to beat New England. So after that, we just need one of Indianapolis, Seattle, and Baltimore. I think it's possible to go 9-8.
Fair enough. I just don't see it personally. I'm gonna reset my mic real quick because it is coming in low. Hold on.
Difficulties over here, man.
Hold on. This is it working? Oh my god. Why is it so low? I have no idea. Let's see now. Is that working better? Check. No, it's not. No, we'll be right back. Technical difficulties. BRB. Check. Hey, there we go. It's still low. I don't know what's causing that. Hopefully it's not too bad in the live stream. Let me mute the desktop audio and I will test that. What is it sounding like in the live stream? It is probably really low. Let's see. I have no idea what to do. How on earth do I... Oh boy. Yeah, I cannot figure this out to save my life. It's something with my OBS and my mic is not... My mic is just not picking up right. No, I have a backup mic. Let me try that. Where on earth did I put the damn thing? Not there. Not there. Here. It should be in here if it's anywhere. That's not the right one. Where the hell somewhere. I shall find it. Damn it. There it is. There she is. Let's see if this works. Hopefully this. Meteor mic. There we go. That's capturing audio a lot better. Okay, so this thing is like fucked. Apparently. Great. Control Z. Do that. Okay. Sorry about this, everybody. That's not what I wanted. What'd I do? Oh, fudge me. Discord. Okay, there we go. Now I can hear, and my thing is being loud enough, and that should be better. Okay, let me see. Got my camera working. I just have to share my screen for the ranking, and then we will get right back into this. Okay. Then I can stop show my screen. No, turn that off, and then... Okay. Okay. Good enough.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. Yeah, let me fix OBS, and we should be good. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna put the screen back up. All right, show the call, and we're good. Okay, so to quick recap, because I don't know how bad my audio was. I went back and listened to it. It was quite quiet. We were just talking about the Steelers. We heard Ali's side of it. Personally, I don't know. Browning looked really good with the Bengals, and with Kenny Pickett, you guys played them extremely close. I don't know if with Mitch Trubisky, you guys beat them again. I know it's being played in Pittsburgh, but you guys just, I don't know. The Cardinals game just made me lose all confidence in the Steelers' ability, and I know they lucked their way to victory, but I don't know, man. The Patriots tend to have their number. It's a short week on Thursday night. I don't think you guys lose to the Patriots, but if you do, that's it. Your season's wraps right there.
Okay, a couple things. So first of all, Mitch Trubisky is a former Pro Bowler. You seem to neglect that fact every time we talk about him. He's a former Pro Bowler. He's the MVP.
I mean, Joe Montana is a great quarterback, but if he were to play today...
I mean, and plus, I said last week, I predicted that the Cardinals were going to win that game. I picked the Cardinals, if you remember. Well, I did pick the Steelers, but that was out of bias. I told you guys to go with the Cardinals because every Steelers fan knew that we were going to lose this game. So this isn't really a shock to me. This is a typical Tomlin game to lose. A must-win against a really bad team at the end of the year. Typical Tomlin game to lose. So make up for it by winning at Seattle or something whack like that.
Yeah, but it's also Tomlin, and he's used to losing to the Patriots.
We would have beat them in 2017 and won the Super Bowl that year if it wasn't for the refs. I 100% stand by that.
You were not beating Nick Foles.
I absolutely feel like we were going to beat Nick Foles in that Super Bowl. But you know what? We'll never know.
Nick Foles would not be denied. That man was on mission, man. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, okay. I have less confidence in the Steelers, but fine. I will put them in wild card. Broncos just missed. We will see how this weekend goes for both teams. I haven't moved much around, as you can see. I did bump the Vikings and Seahawks both into just miss because we're going to get into who I think is making the playoffs at this point. Seattle, not from the fact that I don't think they're good enough. It's more so their schedule for the remainder of the season. Vikings, I just have no idea at this point based on everything with the quarterback situation. The Rams, I think, are going to be good. Falcons, I just left up there because they have the best record. And if you look at all their schedules remaining, they're all very similar. And so I think they're pretty much all just going to have very similar schedules to finish out the year. So that's kind of why the Falcons are where they are. I did move the Jags down and the Texans up because out of those two schedules, the Texans have an insanely easy schedule. And the Jags don't have the most difficult schedule, but without T-Law, I think the Texans are able to pass them. So that was kind of where I moved things around.
We're thinking Trevor Lawrence is probably going to miss, the rest of the regular season at this point, come back for the playoffs. Maybe come back week 18 as a tune-up game to try to get his form back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But with CJ Beathard, I could see him, finishing the year wins at Tampa Bay and Carolina and kind of losing the rest, maybe something like that. So maybe like 2-3 down the stretch, go 10-7 as a wild card. I can vibe with that.
It looks like the Texans are set up to go 4-1, if not 5-0, down the stretch. So I don't know, man. I don't think they're going to be bad enough to miss because I think there's too many just mediocre teams. But if the Bills can beat those really good, if they can beat the Chiefs and the Cowboys back to back, who knows? The Bills could be right back in it. It's just the AFC is such a shit show. You could have Browning and the Bengals end up back in the playoffs. You could have the Browns end up back in the playoffs. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. I moved the Browns down to Payne because they lost Chubb and now they're down to Joe Flacco as their quarterback. So I figured it was only fitting.
The Browns might not win another game this season.
Yeah, that's possible. All right, I have not talked yet about the Eagles game. I was gonna go back to it at the end since I have a lot to say about it. I do want to go into Sunday Night Football, which is Chiefs Packers, and that's the other one. I went from I have no clue with the Packers because they were looking so bad, and we had them all the way down in trash tier. But I'm convinced they're getting the 7th seed now. That is literally where I am at. Based on their remaining schedule, compared to the schedule of the Vikings and the Seahawks, it's very similar with the Rams. I think somehow both Green Bay and the Rams end up in the playoffs over Seattle. Just based on remaining schedules.
And that would be a travesty for the Seahawks. This, their personnel, what they were going into the year, how they started the year.
Oh,
I
for
kind
sure.
of blame it on Gino for being very mediocre, but that defense was, I feel like they were supposed to be a lot better. I kept talking about, Tariq Woolen, how good he is going to be, then he ended up getting benched. Like, they're just not living up to their roster
No.
expectations.
This is the Packers' remaining schedule. You have the Giants, you have the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Bears.
I think there's a good chance that head-to-head against Minnesota, the second to last week of the year, could have playoff implications for
It'll
the
depend.
7 seed.
It'll depend on whoever they start. I hope they start Dobbs, but it'll depend on whoever they start ends up doing. With Justin Jefferson coming back. Problem with the Vikings is they do have the Raiders this week, which should be winnable, obviously. Then they have the Bengals
Uh-huh.
in Cincy, which again winnable. But if Cincy's defense looks good against mediocre Vikings quarterback, that could change. And then they have the Lions, Packers, and Lions. They have the Lions twice, which could destroy them. That could completely kill all their playoff hopes if the Lions beat them twice. So I'm worried about them for sure. The Seahawks have a rough one ahead as well, and the Seahawks can play with top teams. We saw that with how they played the Cowboys. They definitely can play with top teams. The problem is we also saw how they played against the Niners in Seattle, and their next game is against the Niners in San Fran, and that should be a blowout.
Yeah.
Then they have the Eagles in Seattle, and they usually are good against the Eagles, but I think the Eagles are just better than the Seahawks this season. I also don't see the Eagles losing another tough game. Like I don't see them losing that game, especially if they were to lose to the Cowboys. I don't see the Eagles losing the rest of the season. I like heads are gonna roll. Howie Roseman's going to bring in vets. He's gonna make changes. He's gonna bring in personnel to the coaching staff in some way, shape, or form, kind of like they did with Fangio last season. They will do whatever they can to make sure they don't lose again if they lose to Dallas. But yeah, so they have the 49ers, the Eagles, then they have the Titans, who they probably beat, but the Titans play teams close. Then they have the Steelers, who it's the Steelers, so who knows? And then they have the
Yeah.
Cardinals in what is probably the best way for a season to end. You go against a division rival who sucks. However, it is being played in Arizona, so you don't have the advantage of the cold if it was being held in Seattle. And if I know anything about the Cardinals, they will somehow mess up their tank and end up winning that game.
I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I feel like it's a winnable game for Arizona.
So I genuinely think Seattle somehow falls out of these playoffs, and it is the dumbest thing ever, but it is very possible at this rate. And I hate it. I hate it so much. We will not be seeing the. I will say this right now, and we've said this from the start of the season just based on how certain teams started off and who got injured and everything in certain schedules. We are not seeing the best 14 teams in the NFL make the playoffs. There are going to be teams missing the playoffs this year that are way better than teams that make the playoffs this year.
Well, you know what? You could say that about any season. Like,
Well,
if you want
yeah,
to make the
but
playoffs, win your games.
I understand, but uh, okay, you're telling me if you played the Bill, all right, with how we currently have this set up, you're telling me the Bills don't beat the Falcons, the current Jags, the current Colts, the current Steelers, the current Rams, and the current Packers. Because I think the Bills beat all those teams.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, but then, the Bills shouldn't have lost to the Jets week one.
oh, I
Like,
fully agree. I fully agree. I'm not saying change the format. I'm just saying this season we're going to see a lot of teams on the outside looking in, going, how the hell did we get? How the hell did we end up here? And how are those teams in there?
yeah.
Yeah. And the NFC North does not deserve anybody in the playoffs at this point. Or NFC North, NFC South. NFC South does not deserve anybody in the playoffs this season, but that's besides the point. Alrighty. We're gonna get to Monday night, then we'll jump back to the Eagles. Monday night, it was the Bengals versus Jacksonville, and Trevor Lawrence going down with injury sucks. Obviously, that sucks, and that probably cost the Jags the game. However,
Mhm.
Browning looked really good for the Bengals against the Jags defense. The Jags defense did not show up last night, and while I do think T Law wins that game, I don't necessarily think their backup quarterback lost them that game either.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Browning play, against the Steelers, and he looked abysmal. Last night, he actually looked competent, It was like a complete change in him. I don't know if that's him getting more reps under his belt, or if that's, the Steelers are a tougher defense than the Jags, probably both. At the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, though, I think the Jaguars' defense themselves they had an off night, they had a bad game, but I don't think that's reflective of the Jaguars' defense. They've been pretty good the whole season. And I'm not gonna overlook that body of work for just, one game.
That's fair. I yeah, I still think they have a tough stretch ahead, and without T Law, this is gonna get ugly. But yeah, it's so interesting. The Jaguars are so good some nights, and then other nights it's like, where's this team? And that we've usually been saying that about the offense. Now against the 49ers, we did say that about the defense and the offense because neither showed up.
Mm.
But that seems to be the trend with the 49ers. Unless
Yeah.
unless they're injured, you're not beating them. That seems to be the trend with them this season. They are that good. And
Yeah, they did
genuinely,
lose my boy Baby Palamalu for the year, but that is my boy Hufanga, Baby Palamalu. He's out for the season, which sucks for them. But
yeah. I'm genuinely at a point where I'm willing to say that the Chiefs and Eagles should both move out of Super Bowl tier, and the only team deserving to be up there right now is the 49ers. And just to say, 49ers, this is yours to lose. And if you don't win the Super Bowl this year, with how every team is being this inconsistent, that's just sad.
I'm not gonna argue with that. I mean, also at the same time, you could say the same thing about the Eagles, last year. They were by far the best team in the NFL,
Yeah,
and they
but
just couldn't put it together at the end in that Super Bowl.
I mean, it's still Mahomes and the Chiefs, though. I mean, like, and Mahomes and the Chiefs last year were way better than they are this year. Like, that something looks off this year with the Chiefs, and that's probably not
Mhm.
having a good receiver. I mean, as much as Juju isn't a number one guy in the NFL, he is better than
Yeah.
everything they currently have on that roster.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Rashid Rice is finally starting to come on, but it took him until like, week 12 to start to actually play well, like
mhm.
took taking these receivers way longer than it's supposed to.
You know what would be funny is Dallas has lost to the 49ers over and over again in the playoffs, and they lost to them this season. How funny would it be
Mhm.
if Dallas finally got their revenge on the 49ers to knock them out, just to then lose to the Eagles in the playoffs? Dallas fans are like, we finally did it, and then they lose to their biggest rivals. It's like, can we celebrate this? We made it to an NFC championship game, but at what cost? Like, oh, that
Well, who would Dallas play in the wild card as of right now?
they're gonna play the Falcons.
I'm picking the Falcons in that one.
Dude, I literally said on the show a couple weeks back, I said it with Bilal, if the Cowboys lose to whoever comes out of the NFC South in the playoffs, I'm streaming for an hour of me just laughing. I am coming on here, and Bilal said he's joining me. Literally, it will just be an hour of laughter. Like, and it's not that I think they'll lose, it's that any team that is as good as the Cowboys this season, if any team were
Mhm.
good as them were to lose to the Falcons in the playoffs, you deserve to be laughed at for an hour. Like,
Yeah. Knowing Arthur Smith, it'll be like a fader out to the fourth string tight end in the corner of the end zone to win the game with no time left.
oh my god, dude, why do I see like the Falcons winning? And it would have to be against the Cowboys or the Eagles at this point because nobody else is challenging the Eagles or Cowboys for the top wild card spot, and yet, nobody's challenging the Falcons for the bottom division spot except for
Yep.
whoever else is in their division. Like, so why do I see though that NFC South game versus whoever? I feel like it's going to be a low scoring, ugly ass game where we could walk away literally with an NFC South team still in the playoff. Literally, and I brought this up as the show topic for today, which would be the funniest Super Bowls. I genuinely think Minshew versus NFC South. Minshew versus NFC South tops
Yes,
anything
sir.
you could come up with. Like, that it would
I
be the
hope
funniest
Minshew
thing.
makes that run.
But genuinely, I want it to be Minshew versus Baker because literally they have the same exact energy, at least from how they,
Yeah.
you know, show themselves and whatnot. And it would just be the greatest thing. I want Baker versus Minshew more than anything, other than an Eagles Super Bowl. Obviously, I want an Eagles Super Bowl. But like, if that can't happen this
Mhm.
season, it better be Baker or Minshew. Like. I want that more than anything other than an Eagles Super Bowl. It would be amazing. I I genuinely wonder if you were to look on like FanDuel or whatnot right now, what a payout of $5 for betting Colts Buccaneers Super Bowl would be. Like if that were to actually,
Oh
I'll
God.
have to look after the show, because I am genuinely curious.
Minshew would lead the current Steelers team to a Super Bowl, by the way.
What was that? Oh,
Minshew would be good enough to lead the current Steelers team to a Super Bowl.
depends. Very much depends because he had that entire Eagles team last season and he couldn't do anything with it.
Well, I will say that you can ask our boy Shreyas that or during the offseason I did nothing but like scream at the Steelers to pick up Minshew because I had a bad feeling about Kenny Pickett, and
That's
I
fair.
knew Mitch, even despite him being a former Pro Bowler, he wasn't gonna get the job done when we needed him.
That's fair. Like, that's the thing about Minshew. Minshew is the funny thing is because he took over when Foles went down with injury and backup quarterback as well during an Eagles Super Bowl run. So that's funny.
Hmm.
But or Super Bowl appearance run. Same difference.
Yeah.
But it just they also are very similar in the sense that if they have the right team around them, they look unstoppable. They look godly. You put them with the wrong offense though, if the offense is not perfectly designed to cater to them, it's not working. it's going to look ugly.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. Like, it is so interesting to me how, like, Minshew looks so different against different teams.
Well, Minshew is this generation's Fitzmagic. You know, Mustachio Minshew,
That's
the
true.
same exact person as Fitzmagic.
I mean, is he, though? Because does Minshew really give you a bunch of weeks of hope and then just completely fall off a cliff? I feel like Minshew is like, this week hope, this week depression. This week hope, this week. Um,
Well, he's gonna be just like Fitzmagic in the sense that he'll end up playing on like, a dozen NFL teams and
right.
starting,
Right.
for every single one of them.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of starting, and we'll talk about this on Thursday because, good lord, the backups have completely taken over the NFL. But the Giants have announced that they're going to be starting Tommy DeVito over Tyrod Taylor, which
I think he's earned it.
I do. I mean, they've won, but if you look at his stats, it's not because of Tommy. I just feel so bad for Tyrod. Then again, maybe they're just telling Tyrod, listen, we're starting him not because he's better than you, but because we don't want to be the death of you, and you have almost died 100 times playing football. Take the hint, buddy. Just retire and don't die.
Yeah. Walk away with your health, Tyrod.
Whatever's left of it. Anyway, let's get into Eagles 49ers. And this game was a game of it was two stories going in, like, for this game. You had the first quarter, then you had the rest of the game. And the
Hmm.
first quarter, the Eagles defense 2 3-and-outs for the 49ers. They have -6 yards on offense, and you think it's going to be great. Now, this is part of the issues. The offense of the Eagles, while they were rolling, they weren't getting the points. They had to settle for 2 field goals, and I knew letting the Niners get a lead with just one touchdown after all that in the first quarter, I knew that was not going to be good. Like, I just had that gut feeling of, oh God, we have to settle for another one. This is going to turn bad. That was just the vibe I was getting. And needless to say, that's what happened. I will say, now I'm not going to blame the refs for this game. This game is so much more than what happened with the refs. This game is so much more than that. Because the Eagles are bad. I'm willing to admit it. The linebackers were horrible. The funny thing is, Bradbury and Slay apparently statistically had fantastic games. For all that shit talk they did to Bradbury, Bradbury wasn't even targeted at all. They didn't even attempt to throw the ball near Bradbury because the linebackers were that bad. Like, they got completely exposed by the linebackers. Desai did not have the right play calling throughout the game after the first quarter. The Niners adjusted and he couldn't adjust back. Desai was bad. Brian Johnson is horrible. His offensive play calling baffles me to no end. Again, you throw it over 40 times and you run it less than 20 times. It's exactly what you did against the Jets. And now you're going to say, but you have to start throwing once you end up behind. It wasn't just when we were behind, though. He wasn't establishing a run game early, and it was the same thing they did against the Jets. And shockingly, when the Eagles don't establish a run game, they lose. It's clear as day, and I don't understand why they don't run the ball. That all being said, and I am willing to admit my team lost, my team looked bad, and it was on them. All that being said, I do want to touch on the officiating. Not that it mattered, just that it's infuriating to watch bad officiating. And the double hold on AJ Brown is the one that gets me. Because while it obviously doesn't end up mattering for the final score, it is AJ gets held twice on what could have ended up as a touchdown or could have been a flag, and then they get another chance to get a touchdown early instead of having to settle for 3, in which case they go up 10, and now when the Niners score, you're not losing. You're still up, which completely changes the game. That changes the game. Based on how the Eagles linebackers played, it didn't matter. Like I said, even if that changes the game, they would have gotten exposed eventually, and we would have still got blown out most likely. But it is a factor to look at. The other thing that I still haven't seen anybody post how they called this offsides was the Josh Sweat offsides. Niners go for it on 3rd down. They don't get it in the red zone. Play is over. Flag comes out for offsides way after the play's over. because and then they don't even show the replay. And everything I've seen on Twitter, he's been lined up perfectly. Sweat is lined up. He doesn't move. He doesn't jump. There's nothing on there to warrant an offsides call. So it literally just felt like, offsides because the Niners didn't get it. And then, of course, they get the touchdown. So while the refs did not do enough to change the final results based on how the teams played for the rest of the game, they did shift the early game. It did shift momentum early game. Eagles don't go up 10-0. They have to settle for 6-0. The Niners get a touchdown when they would have had to settle for a field goal. That does shift the beginning. However, the Eagles still played poorly despite that, and even if all those things went their way, they would still lose this game. I'm flat out admitting, even if those things went the Eagles' way, the Eagles still lose this game. I just hate seeing bad officiating.
The one thing that I don't really like talking about refs in general. Ref ball is a part of the sport, like you'll benefit from it. You'll get shit on for it, it's just something that happens. Like, I think I will say, in my opinion, the officiating and the momentum shifted back towards the Eagles after they ejected Greenlaw, which me personally, I didn't think it warranted an
I
ejection.
mean, that's
But
on
that's
New
either
York, though, and not the refs. New York made that call.
right, but either way, like it was a player that got ejected due to like an officiating, persona. So like at the end of the day, I feel like they shifted the momentum back to the Eagles. Eagles went down and scored a touchdown, had everything going their way. And when the 49ers got the ball back and then drove the length of the field and got into the end zone themselves, that's when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, yeah, the
No, it
Eagles are
was.
done. That's when
Exactly. And it's the fact that Brock Purdy's yards after catch are insane. But you could.
yeah.
That being said, because I've seen a lot of people say he's a yards after catch merchant, blah, 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 he doesn't deserve MVP votes. And I will agree he does not deserve the MVP because I don't think he's the MVP of his own team. I do think a
Hmm.
49ers player probably wins MVP, but I'd be more willing to give it to CMC. I genuinely think it should go to CMC. Or you could continue with the assault people, or the assault, like the abusers, and for non QBs, and give it to Tyreek Hill. Since they gave it, AP was the last non quarterback to win it, and he abused his kids. You could give it to Tyreek Hill, who's been accused of assaulting people. So, I mean,
They gave it to Von Miller at this point.
good lord. Could you imagine? No, I genuinely think this is the year where a quarterback shouldn't win it. And I do think it should go to CMC because the Niners lose 3 straight when CMC isn't fully healthy. Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't tell you who the MVP of that team is. I don't know what does. But that being said, the yards after catch, while he does benefit from it a lot, I believe it's 48% of his touchdowns come from yards after the catch, like big yards after catch plays. Like it's 48% of them. While in like a bunch of the last MVP seasons, so you had Rodgers, you had Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, most of them it was like above 50%. It was like 50, 52, 53. So it's very common for MVPs to have a lot of touchdowns be yards after catch. So that's common. So I don't know if that argument I've been seeing people make, it's a bad argument just based off of past MVPs. However, I still think we need to look at MVP as more than a QB award.
Yeah, I think Brock Purdy is actually number one in the NFL in terms of yards per attempt. So, I mean, he's throwing the ball down the field. He's not just throwing screens. But I will say that I'm not sure that we need to find a statistic about this, like how open are his receivers compared to how open the receivers are for other quarterbacks. I just feel like Brock Purdy is just hitting the wide open guy a lot of times,
Oh, I
which is
actually
why
found.
CMC should
I
be the
saw
MVP.
that. I saw that. I'll see if I can find it. Because I saw something like that where because they were talking about how Jalen Hurts is like Bennett is doing things that no other quarterback's even close to doing because his guys aren't creating separation and yet his accuracy is through the roof, despite his guys not creating that separation. And but it had all the
Yeah,
quarterbacks
see,
on
that's
it.
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It had all the quarterbacks on it, but yeah, Hertz was like the most impressive stat I believe on that thing. I will look. I will find this. It's somewhere in these likes. While I search, I'm just gonna blab about things I do know, and one of those things I know is hockey. I know our fans here, if anybody's watching, doesn't probably isn't a hockey person, but I don't care. Funny stat: the Arizona Coyotes have beaten the last five. Well, actually, technically the last five teams, but the last six Stanley Cup champions in 5 straight games. Just weird freaking stat.
Yo, that's great.
Dude, could you
Are they still
imagine?
playing in Arizona State?
Yeah, they play in a college stadium right now. They're working, although I think they just purchased land in Phoenix, so we'll see. What's crazy to me though is
Oh,
that
okay.
I just want to see, like, literally give us Baker versus Minshew Super Bowl, and then give us Stanley Cup playoffs in Arizona in a college stadium. Give us all that, all in 1 year. That is what I need in my life. I just want to see everybody go insane in sports.
That is
Okay,
what every sports fan needs.
here it is. I will put this on screen, and I will. I don't know if it is sharing it in the Discord, but I will try and get it to share. Oh, this is the image. I'm gonna try and fix this. Let me oh boy, zoom out. Oh, that doesn't want to do it. How do I get this to be full screen? I'm trying to think. Oh, I know what I can do. I can just do display capture, and then I can switch this to which display is it? Nope, not that one, not that one. I guess I could just switch it over. I'll just do this one, and then I will slide this over. And I will put it on the live stream so the live stream can see. I'm just going to put it over our faces. I really don't care at this point. Too many technical difficulties, and this is too challenging. And then I will just switch my screen over to show it. Share screen. There it is. Share. There we go. Okay. So, here it is. This is how often quarterbacks throw to open wide receivers, or how often quarterbacks throw to open wide receivers, and how open those wide receivers are. So highly accurate rate. The accuracy rate is the higher you are, the better you are. And then percentage of throws where receivers have open separation. So Bryce Young is actually incredible. At that, his receivers aren't getting open at all, but he's insanely accurate. Jalen Hurts is up here as well. You have Justin Herbert. Desmond Ritter's actually doing decent. So as much as we shit on Ritter, it's something to look at. And Kirk was doing a pretty good job with it as well. Now Brock Purdy, his receivers are some of the second most in the entire league. Next, just behind Tua by a fair margin because Tyreek Hill. And if you look at the high accuracy rate, Brock is actually lower than the average. He's below average for that. He's still above 50%, but he's still below average. And he's in the company of Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields for this stat. And yeah, Tua's in another dimension of how open his receivers are.
Don't let Jess see this because he'll start saying that Herbert is better than Tua.
To be fair, Herbert is not. It's hard to judge how good Herbert is with that Chargers team. How many times have they lost games because their receivers just had balls bounce off their hands? It hurts me. Also, Jimmy G, all the way at the bottom here.
You could say that about anybody in the
Jimmy G. Actually, Matthew Stafford's been that inaccurate.
Huh. And Jimmy G, bro.
Yeah, Jimmy G is in. Zach, wait, hold on. Highly accurate rate. Zach Wilson has performed better than Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, and Jimmy G. How is he performing better than Stafford? I know his receivers are getting more open than Stafford's, but still. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, Stafford did have a couple games with injury where he didn't look as good, but yeah. Bryce Young, though. That should give Panthers fans, honestly, as much as we want to crap on Panthers fans, I think this Panther tier could be just hope Bryce Young gets help. Panther. because Bryce Young is doing things that are just like, wow, it's just incredible. But nobody's gonna talk about it because they are not winning, and he's not looked great, like statistically. But then again, you look at this, and his receivers aren't getting open. I don't know if you saw the play. It was from a couple weeks ago now, where he throws it to one of his receivers. His receiver like jumps for it and then flings his whole body out of bounds before he comes down with the ball. Like I
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I let me see if I can find it. It is so good. Let me see. It was Bryce Young receiver. Let me just see. Out of bounds. Out of bounds. Let's see. Was it Mingo? It might have been Mingo. It might have been the sort of Mingo. I can't get it to come up. Oh wait, here it is. I found it. I will throw it over here. If it will switch. It's on the stream. I don't know. I gotta fix it on Discord. I will just do this. And that's not what I want. I want this. Change window. Here it is. Share. Oh, why is it so zoomed out? I will zoom it in. Come on. Zoom in. Any minute now. Oh, come on. Load for me. Load. Oh, this clip was... Come on. Point is... Oh, here it is. Whee! There it goes. Right out of bounds. I don't understand, Ollie.
I'm seeing it. It's great.
What is he doing? What is Mingo doing?
He did the opposite of a toe tap.
He's wide open. This genuinely is more baffling to me than the Tyler Boyd pass. And yeah, I don't have any words. But let's
Doing his best to do the opposite of a toe tap.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's
Yep.
we can pull this down now. Yes. Okay. Let's finish up this tier list. Let's get this done, and I will share that back up.
Oh, I saw that. That was great too.
Alrighty, here we go. So we got our tier list, and yeah, Eagles, I guess, yeah, division, 49ers, Super Bowl, Bryce, yeah, that's fine. Jets staying trash. Cardinals, I think Cardinals, maybe even the Titans. While the Titans lost, their game was respectable. I think both of them might just deserve bad. Like, I feel better about that. I think we can leave New York. Oh wait, we can make this New York trash now. It can just be New York trash. Perfect. There we go. I love it. It's perfect.
Yep.
Actually, look at that. We have the least of the East, and then we have the second least of the East. Oh, that's even better. Second least of the... That's least. I'll fix it. Second least of the East. Oh my god. Then you got your bad teams, Pain, NFC South, just missed, wild card, division, and Super Bowl. Yeah, like, 49ers, this is your Super Bowl to lose. And if you don't go win this thing, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, if you're healthy and you don't win this thing, that should be a disappointment. Like, literally, this team should not lose a game if they're fully healthy. And that's terrifying. And I hope to God somebody can stop them in the NFC, because I don't want to see 49ers fans celebrating a Super Bowl. Oh, God. One thing I want to rant about real quick about 49ers fans. They were all laughing at the Eagles losing the Super Bowl, like after they won this game. They're like, well, you guys didn't even win the Super Bowl last year, Hurts fumble, you didn't win. 49ers fans, are you forgetting that when you played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, you blew a 10-point lead with like 6 minutes to go or whatever it was? Are you forgetting that the other time you were in the Super Bowl recently, you lost to the Ravens? Like, you do not have room to talk about Super Bowl losses currently. Like, especially when you guys blew a worse lead in a Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah.
all things considered, like that lead they blew to the Chiefs. It was like 6 minutes left, up 10, and they blew it. So you do not get to trash talk the Eagles losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You could trash talk about the victory, but you don't get to say, the Super Bowl. No, no, you don't. You haven't earned that yet. You have to win the Super Bowl first before you can do that.
And if our good friend Shreyas Kumar was still with us, he'd tell us that the Ravens were they didn't just beat the 49ers in that Super
Uh-oh.
Bowl. They would have blown them the hell out if it wasn't for that whack power outage at halftime or whatever it was.
That's fair. I Okay. Genuine question. Do you think Alex Smith makes a difference in that Super Bowl versus Cap?
Not really. I think the 49ers made the right decision rolling with Cap.
That's fair.
I mean, does he make a difference? Probably, but like at the end of the day, I still think it's the right decision what they did.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying they didn't make the right decision. I'm just saying, like, now hypothetically, you put Alex Smith in instead. Do they get the victory over the
Mhm.
Ravens there? I don't think so. I don't think that Ravens team loses that game. Although with the power
I
outage,
mean,
maybe.
Kaepernick gave him, the same amount of yeah. But Kaepernick still gave him a chance to win at the end of the game.
Yeah,
So you can't really fault the quarterback. It was remember that holding call or the
that's true.
non-call.
That's true. I wasn't necessarily faulting Cap. Like, I'm not here to shit on Cap. I'm just more curious because, like, that's something I just haven't thought about. What if Alex Smith had been the difference maker in that game?
Yeah.
Jesus. What a weird career for Alex Smith.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that all the teams he played for had like the same color, like
So,
very similar color scheme. Red and like gold, red and yellow, red and goldish yellow, like brown, yellow. Yeah, so like just very strange. Weird coincidence.
huh, yeah.
Um,
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that's what he likes.
he needs to come back out of retirement and play for the Cardinals real quick. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Pigskin Banter. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Ali, for showing up. I know we had some internet issues. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with us through those times with all the technical difficulties. We'll be back on Thursday to preview Week 14 of the NFL, and we have a lot to discuss when it comes to quarterbacks because the league has been overrun with backups. So we might need to shake up our tier list a little bit and maybe rephrase some of the wording for those tiers because we got a lot of backups ranked now, and it's not looking like it's going to get any better. So let's hope to God that we can make it to the playoffs with some starting quarterbacks remaining. Could you imagine 32 backup quarterbacks all playing week 18 because everybody else is hurt? Oh my God! Please no.
That
Please
would be
no.
great.
It would be kind of funny. Like, it'd be horrible for the players. It would be kind of funny if every single team in the playoffs was down to their backup quarterback, though. Just like, I don't want it to happen as a fan of a team that's gonna make the playoffs, but at the same time, just like, could you imagine telling somebody like in 20 years, 20 years ago, every single team in the NFL had a backup quarterback? Like, that'd just be crazy.
Yeah.
Good Lord. We'll see what happens. Let's hope no more injuries. Also, if you told fans this offseason that the Ravens would be the only team in the AFC North to not have an injured quarterback, people would have laughed at you. That being said, we'll see you guys all on Thursday. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.